Of all of the cars that I spend time with, luxury included, there's one brand that always gets the attention of pretty much everyone. And you've guessed it, that's Genesis. Whether it's family, friends, or just people in the street, everybody stops and looks at this car to work out, what on earth is it? So why is that? Genesis has been in the UK since 2021, and it's actually been in Korea, Australia, and elsewhere in the world since nearly 20 years. So why are we still so unfamiliar with this fantastic brand? Well, I think it mainly comes down to the way that they've tried to market their vehicles. Previously, you could only buy Genesis vehicles online, and I think that made it difficult to get their products out there. But Genesis themselves have now gone back on this, and we're going to start seeing these appear in showrooms alongside Hyundai's. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a luxury saloon to rival the Mercedes E-Class and the BMW 5 Series. This is the Genesis G80. And in today's video, I'll tell you everything you need to know about this pretty brilliant car. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you do like new car reviews and car content, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. But first off, let's talk about a bit of styling, because that's going to be the first thing you notice. They say that the best designed vehicles are those that when you walk away, you have to turn and look at your car. And tell me you wouldn't do that if you owned this G80. It's so striking, it's very timeless, very classic. But of course, it's pretty bling, right? You've got that massive chrome grille at the front. Not going to be for everyone, but for the target audience, I think it does its job. Now, if you're wondering if this gives off Bentley Continental GT vibes, there's a reason for that, because the guy that designed the G80 also designed that car, so you can see where he got his inspiration. And once again, you've got that Genesis badge at the front, which gives off another premium car brand's vibe. You've got these front headlamps, which are slightly slimmer. I don't personally like these with the rest of the vehicle. I think they cheapen it just a tiny bit, but that's my personal preference. But actually, when it comes to the timeless design and how it's very simplistic, they match very, very well. Now, this isn't the colour that I'd have it in. I think this grey looks a little bit bland. I like a lot of the blue colours. You've got a dark blue, a bright blue. I think that they just give it a little bit more of a touch of something interesting. This, to me, it's a little bit boring. The colour combination, that is. Of course, you could never call the car boring. And something else you could never call boring is Hyundai and Genesis wheels. Hyundai are on a roll with building some really snazzy designed wheels for their cars. This Genesis G80 has a much simpler design, and believe me, when I was cleaning this car yesterday, I was really thankful for that. But they're very simple, they match in with the paintwork, but once again, just personally, they might be a little bit too bland for my taste. One thing that does have to be noted about the G80, but of course if you're buying a car like this you'll already know, is it's massive. It's very, very long, and we don't make jokes about women and parking on this channel, especially because I consider myself to be quite a good parker. I can probably park better than I can drive, but this thing has had me a little bit stumped. It's massive. I think it's because I understand it's very long, but it's also very wide. So you are going to have to find a space, probably with 2 spaces either side. Of course, it has all of the modern day driving aids, which make it a lot easier because you've got the 360-degree camera, but you've also got on the G80 the remote park, where you can start the car up on the key and then you can bring the car forward, or you can bring the car back. So that makes your life of living with this car a bit more simple, because if you've got a difficult driveway to get in and out of, you can get out and then reverse the car in on the key. And often people wonder, well, is this a bit of a gimmick? What would I actually use this for? But I found it super handy. One thing in our family is my stepdad often doesn't want me to block the garage, so he'll ask me to not park too close to the garage. But this is a long car, so I need it parked right up. So what I can do is I park right up to the garage, and when he calls down in the morning that I've blocked it, I can simply stand from my top window, unlock the car and move it forward away from the garage without even having to get out of my pyjamas. On top of that, when I was cleaning the car yesterday, it was also really handy because when I needed to get around the car, I could just move it with a key without getting in all of my muddy and wet clothing. Me personally, I think that this isn't just a gimmick. It's actually a very handy feature.
The Genesis G80 can be configured in premium, luxury and sport trims. The premium starts at £43,100 and it pretty much gets all the standard goodies. Upgrading to the sport is an added £5,200 and this changes the style of the alloys, features carbon interior garnish, leather seat coverings with quilting and a powered boot to name a few. The luxury will cost an added £100 on top of the sport, but it brings larger 20-inch wheels and real wood interior garnish. There's a singular petrol engine available. It's a 2.5-litre inline 4-cylinder turbo unit, which produces 304 PS and a maximum torque output of 422 Nm. There's no manual, just an 8-speed automatic with manual paddles. It's also available as both rear-wheel and all-wheel drive. Of course, if electric is more what you're after, then there's also a G80 electrified model.
Moving on to the interior of the Genesis G80, and it just feels timelessly elegant. It really is very lovely in here if you like the old school approach, because this doesn't look particularly futuristic or blingy. If you wanted futuristic or blingy, then you could go for some of their electric models, which are far more in your face. This is very much like an old school Jaguar. Now, I don't look like a girl who would like a wooden touch, but I do, and I love the wood dashboard. This is genuine wood as well, and you've also got a wooden centre console. And most recently, I complained about the Audi, about how so much was on show, and I wish it had little areas that you could tuck away and hide away things like the cup holders, just like you get here in the Genesis. That gives it kind of that premium touch, I think. And here you've got some wireless charging, which once again can just be tucked away to make it all very, very simple. On this centre console here, you've got your driver's controls, which are this really nice, almost crystal globe turning dial for selecting your different gears. You've got a few drive mode buttons, and you also have here, which is your controls for your infotainment system. So just like Mazda and BMWs, you can control the touchscreen using this central dial. This means it's really easy to use when you're driving because you don't need to take your eyes off of the road. But what I really like about the Genesis, compared to some Mazdas, is it's still a touchscreen. Although it's quite far away to be able to reach, but that does mean if you have any fiddly settings, like for instance on your Apple CarPlay, you can use the touchscreen to select the different settings quicker than it will take you to scroll through them using this scroller. You also have physical climate control dials, although they're a mix of physical and digital, which I like. You've got the quick functions to turn up and turn down your climate, and you've also got some physical buttons, once again for the things you need to get to quickly. But then you've also got a nice touchscreen for doing some other settings, like your heated seats or cooled seats if you go for this high-spec model. I really like these seats as well. You've got a mix of leather, you've got the white piping, contrasting stitching, and they're also electrically adjusted, and you can use the controls on the side of the seats. So that's really handy if you want to move this seat without having to get down the side of it like you would in many other models. Storage is pretty good. You've got a little bit of storage in this centre console. You've got a decent sized glove box, in fact, quite a massive glove box, and you've got nice deep door cards as well. In fact, there's not much I don't like about this interior. I just wonder whether it's kind of teetering on looking a little bit too outdated. Some of the buttons don't always look the clearest. It almost looks like it's starting to wear away a bit on the volume button. But otherwise, it all is just really solidly built, and it all feels very squidgy and luxurious and just a nice place to spend time. Despite being the size of a BMW 5 Series, it has all the luxury of a far more premium model. It's so relaxed in the back here. You can see I've just got absolutely ample amounts of legroom, loads of headroom as well, and it's just such a relaxing atmosphere. You actually get TV screens if you go for the premium or executive package, and that comes with some controls which can be found in this middle armrest. Look at that. That feels very, very fancy. And then it comes with a few additional options. You actually have heated and ventilated seats in the back of this car. You can also control things like your blinds, and when you open up this center console, you've even got some wireless phone charging in the back. The only disappointing thing is, though you've got headphone jacks for both of these screens, you've only got one USB port. In fact, between the whole of this massive car, you've only got 3 USB ports, which I guess just feels a little bit old school again. You actually do get some through loading as well, which I'm surprised with this armrest that you'd still get a bit of through loading, and you also get some manual blinds as well and lots of other lovely functions. It's just such a wonderful place to sit and relax, and you can do just that, whether you're going to be shipping around family and friends, or if you just want to sit in the back of it on your own when you're on a road trip and you need a bit of downtime. It's just a really lovely place. I think that when it comes to executive feel, they've nailed it on the exterior and interior styling. It really does a half good job at convincing you that this is a much more expensive vehicle. But we all know that it all comes down to the driving experience. You can't have an executive looking car which doesn't drive like an executive car. If you're buying a vehicle like this, you're not just nipping to the shops once a week to get a pint of milk. You're driving this car quite a lot. So how it makes you feel when you're driving it is very important. And I'm really pleased to say that they've done a very good job at building an extremely well-refined car. You can tell that this has had over 20 years of mechanical engineering. You've got that acoustic glass on the side windows, which mean it stays really very quiet. It's quite a hefty engine under the bonnet and quite a big car to shift, so you would expect it to make a lot of noise. You can make it make noise if we quickly now just shift into the sports driving mode. Everything turns red on the dash, you get a little squeeze on the side of your body, and you do get a half decent exhaust note. But if you want to hush the vehicle and have a far more quiet and refined driving experience, then you pop it back into either your economy or your comfort mode. You get a change of the colour on the dashboard, and then it feels just really serene. This would make a fantastic chauffeuring vehicle, because I can imagine that when you're in the back of this car with those TVs, you would feel very relaxed and very safe. And it does have that safe feel about it. I think that because of its size and because of its refinement, it does give you a real confidence when you're driving it. But it hasn't lost any engagement. That was my worry. This is such a big vehicle, and how will it actually cope when you're driving it on the back roads? Well, I'm really pleased to say that they've done a good job at keeping some of that engagement. I recently did a very long drive which ended up in the centre of Milton Keynes, and on the motorway I was using my adaptive cruise control. It was very quiet, very refined, and then I got to the Milton Keynes roundabouts and I thought, well, let's make up a little bit of time here. Popped into sport, and instantly it changed the kind of personality of this vehicle. It became very much more aggressive and very capable. The steering was really pin sharp. Of course, it does wellow a little bit, but you're always going to get that in such a big vehicle. But overall, I was really impressed with just how engaging and fun such a big car can be to drive. So as you can probably tell, I have high praise for the G80. To be honest, I like all of the Genesis cars, and I really hope that they're going to be a brand which continues to excel in the UK. I think that when it comes to picking between electric or going for the combustion models, it's electric which has my heart. They just seem to be building the perfect combination of that luxury interior and exterior with all of the refinement that you get with an electric vehicle. I also think that people are more willing to take a chance when it comes to electric and go with a brand that they've not necessarily known before. But what do you think of the G80? Does this make a rival for the E-Class or the BMW 5 Series? Or would you be sticking with what you know? Let me know in the comments down below. I really hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this on my channel, Auto Social UK, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, guys, see you later.